might have seen this clip going viral.
No. 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 No.
What?
No. 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 Don't say that! I thought we were having a nice date.
We are.
Why does it matter? I thought we were having a nice
We are.
date.
We are.
Yeah, this movie is batshit crazy. You think that you know crazy? You think that sometimes you're crazy? I think that sometimes I'm crazy, but good news, I'm not. You are not crazy. And you know what you don't want to do? You don't want to mix crazy with a One Wish Willow. This is how everything started. A guy wanted to buy a gift for his friend, a girl. He has a massive crush on her. He's like, you know what? Maybe I could get her a gift from this crystal shop. Girls like crystal, right? No. Well, yes, we do like crystal, but some of us only. He goes to this crystal shop and he starts looking around and he sees this packaging. It says One Wish Willow. To be honest, I think that if I saw that, I would also pick it up and look at it. He takes a look at it and it says, amaze your friends. Simple instructions. You just gotta remove it from the packaging, make a wish, and break it in the middle. And then your wish will immediately come true. But you know what they say? This is too good to be true. Nothing in life comes for free. So, at what cost? My wish will come true at what costs? If everyone could make a wish just like this, we would all be fit, sexy, rich, hot. We could fly. We are trillionaires. So at what cost? The cost is amaze your friends. In this video today, we're gonna dive into the story of Obsession, the horror thriller movie that just came out not too long ago. Guys, it's going viral right now. Honestly, I think I checked the rating on Google. It was 7.1 and today it's 8.1. It's just everyone is watching it and everyone is enjoying it, I guess, because come on. Inde's performance, she's so horrified by her own performance that I read somewhere she can't even watch some of the scenes herself. And my God, we're gonna go through some of that today. Okay, now let me just do my thing. Okay, let me do my intro. Welcome to the Midnight Library, my friend. I'm your host, Midori, and welcome to the Midnight Library. This is the place for you to just enjoy a good story while you go about your day, or, you know, just to keep you company while you get your chores done, or maybe you just want to relax and indulge in a horror thriller story. Girl, with that said, full spoilers ahead. If you do not want any spoilers and you still want psychological thrillers, mystery stories, I got you. That's all I do here. Well, sometimes I do romance story, but they are all here in this playlist. Without further ado, let's get right into Obsession. First, I want you to meet Bear. Bear is 25. I believe everyone is 25 in this cast, in the movie, okay? Bear is crazy in love with someone. Bear's got messy hair, a 5 o'clock shadow, brown eyebrows, brown eyes, and if I remember correctly, he's giving Carhartt simple sweater, unicorn sweater, and just like that, okay? That is Bear. The screen opens with Bear confessing his love to this one girl called Nikki. They're at a diner. Bear's sitting there and he's pouring his heart out. He's like, I think about you all the time, Nikki. You are in every song that I listen to. And I'm like, stop thinking about Nikki. Stop thinking about her because she's too good for you. You were gonna lose her. And when we see the girl that he's talking to, the girl is super uncomfortable. The girl's like, okay. So obviously this girl is not into him, and suddenly she laughs and everyone starts laughing, and someone close to the table, like at the bar at a diner, he's like, stop, that was so cringe AF. And Bear starts profusely apologizing. The girl that he was confessing his love to is actually a waitress in this diner. Bear was practicing his speech to Nikki, and his friend thinks that this whole thing is so cringe. His friend is like, you gotta chill out a little bit. Have you even flirted with Nikki at all? You gotta be playful, mean to her. That's what she likes, you know? Bring up freaky Nikki. Remember when you were bullied and someone called you freaky Nikki in school? And then she will be like, oh my God, stop talking about that. That was so long ago. I don't think ever being bullied could be used in the context of flirting. Ian is the friend, and Ian's the one who thinks that Bear's speech is cringe AF. Ian is a good guy, but that's stupid, and it describes his approach to dating and teasing someone. Ian has a baseball cap permanently screw into his head and is backwards. Today he's wearing a white tee with a blue shirt, no buttons of course. He's breaking my throat. No, not like that. Ian, Bear, Nikki, and one more girl are all in the same friends group. Ian tells Bear, just ask Nikki out for drinks, like simple, or just, don't stress yourself and just wait for the right time and then ask her out. Because all you have, Bear, is time. Apparently, according to Ian, all Bear has is time. And I don't think that that is necessarily a good compliment, but Bear agrees. All Bear has is time, but not for Bear's cat, because when Bear gets home, his cat, Sandy, is gone. On the floor. His cat consumed some of his grandmother's medications because it was spilled on the floor. It was right next to her pebbles, and it's really sad. He starts crying, he starts cleaning, and he places his cat into a black trash bag, and he starts crying again. And you know that numb feeling after you cry, like your brain just blanks out, like nothing matters. I guess that is what's happening, because Bear lays on his bed and he starts scrolling on Instagram mindlessly, or not, because he's not just looking at Home's feed. Maybe something would pop up and make him laugh. No, he's looking at Nikki's Instagram. Nikki is quite the influencer, let me tell you that. She got 2K likes on a selfie and hundreds of reposts. Then Bear smiles because there's an incoming call. It's Nikki. On his phone, Nikki's name is Nikki Lovey Emojis, like the kiss face and then the lovey face. He picks it up and Nikki says she's calling to ask what time he'll be joining the group, because they are heading to a bar together to do like trivia night or something like that. And Bear's like, no, I think I'm gonna do a rain check and I'm not feeling so well. And Nikki's like, no, you have to come because I want to see you. And I got something to tell you. I am putting in my 2 weeks. So this group of friends all work in the same store. It's like, I believe it's like a music shop or a speaker shop or something like that. Nikki is leaving this shop, and if Bear and Nikki are not dating or like super duper close, they will probably drift apart. I feel like even if you're super close and someone moves away, you might still drift apart. Bear might never get to use his speech ever again. So Bear agrees to meet up with his friends at the bar. He tells Nikki that, and Nikki's like, okay. And suddenly Nikki screams and he's like, are you okay? Nikki replies, she's fine. She just dropped her crystal necklace down the drain. So naturally, after they hang up, as a man in love, he listens, right? He drives straight to the crystal shop, the Green Man. By the way, this is like a real proper crystal shop in Burbank, Cali. When Bear gets to the shop, he goes in and he's looking at necklaces because he's not that, informed when it comes to crystals. And this lady, the store clerk, is like, yeah, you could get the citrine. As for clarity, is like sunshine in a rock. And he puts the necklace to his chest, maybe to see how it would hang. But as soon as the lady leaves, he puts it back because, are you kidding me? Sunshine in a rock? Nikki would hate that. This is not Nikki. Nikki is more edgy. So he turns around and he sees One Wish Willow. It's calling to him, amaze your friends. It's also sitting right next to the voodoo doll. And if you have gone to the grocery store long enough, my friend, you know that things that are related to one another mostly are put right next to each other. But Bear, walks towards it. He's not very familiar with the shop and the arrangement of goods. He picks one up. One Wish Willow. Amaze your friends. You only get one wish. He flips it back around. It says, spark the middle and break it in half. This is probably something that Nikki would like. It's edgy. It's mysterious. So Bear decides to buy this for Nikki, and the lady's like, oh, this is a collectible. It's been quite popular since we started selling it. Everybody wants to make a wish. Just don't come back, complaining. Some people don't open them and it's completely fine. But those who do, they come back and they complain. Whatever, just buy it and leave us a really good review. So Bear buys it. He leaves and he heads to the pub to meet Nikki and their friends. friends. And the whole time, Bear is just sitting there, smiling, and everyone's talking. Which is a little bit weird, but Nikki is played by none other than Inde Navarrette. Oh, I did not butcher her name. Beautiful, beautiful girl. She got shoulder-length hair. Today, she's wearing quite casual. I believe she's wearing a dress with a denim jacket. She got brown eyes. She is very beautiful, all right? I think Nikki is a writer. She is a writer. I don't have to think about that. I believe she's working on her own book, and the other girl in the group is called Sarah. Sarah is played by Megan Lawless. What a last name. You know who she reminds me of? Gemma Chen. Am I the only one who sees that? Megan Lawless plays Sarah in this movie, and Sarah is also a creative. She's working to hopefully get into a creative arts school. Sarah wears thick eyeliners, dark red lips, and a small chest tattoo and a septum piercing. So back to the pub. Okay, the whole time when Nikki and Sarah are talking about books, getting into art school, Bear and Ian are just like mouthing things to each other like, Nikki sees that and she's like, stop, what are y'all doing? Maybe Ian was trying to get Bear to join the conversation and somehow sweep Nikki off her feet. But Nikki is like, stop. And she leaves the table for more drinks, right? She goes to the bar. Bear follows behind her and he orders himself some drinks. And Nikki is like, oh, I like a man who is in touch with his femininity. His Bear ordered like something and he didn't want the taste of alcohol, so he chose something that would conceal the taste of alcohol. And he's like, what? Is this a feminine drink or something? They laugh. And she was like, why did you almost not come? And he's like, yeah, I had a really busy day. I had to do my taxes and, you watch TV all day. Nikki says and she laughs. And I guess you know how she feels about him, right? But Bear laughs, and just when he's about to tell Nikki about the gift that he got her, the bartender asks him to pay for the drinks. Bear's frustrated, but he whips out his card, but Nikki takes his card away and gives her card instead to the bartender. And she's like, it's on me. Then Bear thought, maybe now is a good time to continue his sentence because they're alone, right? But no, Ian butts in and he's like, can you believe it? Like Sarah's dad keeps a pew-pew in the house, which is weird. Why can't you wait until like a few minutes later when they're obviously not alone and you know that your friend has got a crush on this girl? Bear obviously is even more frustrated tonight at this pub. He doesn't actually get to tell her what he got her. He instead tells Sarah after Nikki and Ian leave that his cat died. Sarah hugs Bear and for a moment I was just like, it seems very intimate. A friend hug is very different from an intimate hug. You know what I'm talking about? And this looks very intimate. That evening after the pub, after the games, Nikki begs Ian to take her home. She's tired. She doesn't want to go anywhere else. Ian is like, no, I'm gonna go to a karaoke. You have to come. And she's like, no. I'm assuming this is like something that is normal between Ian and Nikki. They're friends. He always drives her back. He always drives her around. But Bear is like, you know what? I'll drive you back, Nikki. Nikki's like, thank you. And then Nikki borrows a few bucks from Sarah and hands it to the bagger. And Bear cannot help but just look at Nikki. Look at this girl that I'm in love with. Like, look at how good she is. After that, Nikki joins Bear and they say goodbye to Ian and Sarah. And Ian is like, get your girl home safe. And Nikki's reaction to that is, ew. Don't say that. So Bear and Nikki get into his car and they start driving. Nikki apologizes for Sandy's passing and she tells Bear like, you can always call me, to talk or anything. And Bear tells her that I'm gonna miss you when you go away. Nikki is quitting her job because she feels like she needs a huge life change. She tells Bear that she is not feeling love. And if she doesn't feel love, how can she write about love? And Bear's like, oh, so you are writing a romance book? She's frustrated a little bit. No, it's not romance. It's a love story. Obviously, there's a stark difference to a writer between a romance story and a love story, but Bear doesn't see it. He asks, isn't that just the same thing? Nikki keeps quiet. And when he finally tells her that he got her a gift, her reaction again is, what? Ew, no. Once again, it's it's not pointing to the right direction, but maybe there's a reason for that. Bear's shy. He doesn't actually tell her it's a One Wish Willow, but he does tell her that he got her a gift. When they get to Nikki's home, and for a moment they just sit in his car until Nikki says, Sarah has been talking a lot about you today. How do you feel about Sarah? And when she has a crush on someone, she is so obvious. When I have a crush on someone, nobody knows. Bear feels nothing towards their friend Sarah. Nikki is not showing any signs that she's interested in him, but maybe she is actually interested in him and she's hiding it. But Nikki doesn't say anything more. She leaves Bear's car and says goodnight as she's walking away. Then Bear says, "Good night, freaky Nikki." Nikki turns around. She's pissed and disgusted. She doesn't like it. But then she clocks it. She asks if Bear likes her. And Nikki's like, "You have to tell me. Now's the time to tell me." And Bear just looks like Mount Everest is sitting on his face because he just looks so crushed. And he burps out, "I think I like you as friends. I think we're just friends." And Nikki tells him, "Good." Then she turns and she heads into her house. When Bear is alone in the car, he's like, "Fork, what did I do? Why didn't I just pull out the gift? Why was I being so weird?" So Bear pulls out the One Wish Willow. And as soon as the willow, okay, it's like a stick like this. It's like a wand. It's short. It's like a wood branch. It's more like a wand to me, okay? It's hollow in the middle. But as soon as the willow leaves the packaging, it plays some music, okay? It's like a toy music, you know what I'm saying? It's not like da-da-da. It's not like happy. It's not adventurous. It's disastrous. It's like dun dun dun. Something like that, I could be wrong. He takes out the willow with both his hands and he mumbles, "I wish Nikki loves me more than anybody else in this forking world." And he snaps it in the middle. Then he turns on his car, and just before he leaves, he takes one last look at Nikki's home. Nikki's already inside, right? But now she's standing still. She's right in front of her door. She's staring at Bear. She approaches Bear and she says, "You have something for me?" And Bear replies, "I think I left it at home." And Nikki replies, "Come in. Why don't you just come into my house? I mean, I did just lose my cat." Bear's like, "What the fuck? That's me, not you." And Nikki backtracks immediately and she talks to him in this very soft, a bit flirtatious tone. She tells him that she's so sorry for his loss and somehow she is smiling a little bit too much, and she asks Bear to go into her house again. This is so weird. This is not how Nikki is. Bear looks at the One Wish Willow and Bear can tell that Nikki is acting very strange. She is not okay. Like, this is not like Nikki at all. Why does she keep asking Bear to go into her house? Why does she keep apologizing? But just as quickly, she snaps out of it. She's like, "What the fork am I doing here? This is so weird." She laughs. But then she walks to the side of the car and she changes back to her soft voice and she tries to take off Bear's seatbelt. Then she stops and she's like, "I know what you're trying to do here." And this time she walks back to the passenger side of the car. She gets in and she tells Bear, "We'll go to your house." Because if he doesn't want to go into her house, then they would just go to his house instead. They are all laughing at this point. Maybe too many drinks. Maybe this is all just fun and games. Bear insists, like, "I think you're too drunk. I think that you should just go home." She doesn't want to. She starts to get very sad. The shots in this movie, I'm telling you, is so strange and weird because Nikki leans towards the dashboard. And you know, when you lean into something that is hard, maybe you cross your arms and hold onto your elbows and then rest your face on top of it. Nikki's not doing that. She's just resting her face on the dashboard while her hair just covers her face and she tilts her head to look at Bear. And in her soft voice, again, she sort of whispers to Bear that she doesn't want to be left alone because her dad is dying of cancer. And she starts crying. So Bear's like, "I can't leave her now like this alone." So he drives them to his house. I believe that Bear lives alone. And as soon as Nikki is inside Bear's house, she's like, "I like this house because it's like you and it smells like you." Again, in that soft voice, Bear's like, Okay, let's just get ready for bed. Bear gives her his bed, and just as he's turning off the lights to leave the room, maybe he's sleeping on the sofa or something like that, Nikki's begging for him to sleep with her because she doesn't want to be left alone. And he says, yeah, sure, hesitantly. And she takes off her shirt. So she's in her underwear. When Bear gets into bed, she leans towards Bear and they start making out, okay? Nikki's basically setting everything up and Bear just going along with it. And he looks very nervous, hesitant, but happy at the same time because he's crazy in love with Nikki and they are making out. Bear is heavy breathing as they are making out. And then suddenly, Nikki freaks out and that soft voice is gone. She's frantic. She's like, what the fuck? And she screams. She falls backwards from Bear and then she gets up. And that soft voice is back again. Nikki apologizes like, I'm so sorry. I saw something. She tells Bear that was a panic attack. And she says it in the most normal, nonchalant voice ever. And Bear's freaking out. Bear doesn't believe it. Like, really? And Nikki starts crying, face in hand, crying and wailing. So they go into bed, right? Bear's like, it's okay. You just sleep and I'll sleep on the floor. Okay, he sleeps on the floor, Nikki on his bed, but Bear cannot sleep. He keeps thinking about the One Wish Willow. In the middle of the night, he decides to leave the room to Google what is a One Wish Willow, he types. No. He deletes everything and then he types again. Does a One Wish Willow really work? And Bear sees a mixed response. Okay, some people say that it works like a charm. Some say that it does not work at all. Now, a One Wish Willow reminds a lot of people of the monkey's paw, which I was Googling about because I don't think that I know too much about it. And someone posted on Reddit, like they get so irritated when people don't actually know what it is. So let's not irritate them. Monkey's paw is a fictional curse talisman that grants wishes to its owner, but something terrible or a sequence of devastating events will happen or follow in order for your wish to come true. Hence, monkey's paw is also parallel to the saying, be careful what you wish for. People see the similarity between a One Wish Willow and monkey's paw because they both grant wishes. Well, one wish for the willow, but One Wish Willow gives you what you want first. Then the bad things happen. So it's sort of in reverse, right? If you think about it, Nikki is snapping between her soft voice and her normal voice. Bear, the person who made the wish, is sort of in disbelief. Is this really the work of his One Wish Willow? Or is this destiny, like real destiny at play? He's about to find out because it's really all downhill from here. Well, at least in a bit, it will be happy for a little bit. For now, let's go back to Bear, okay? In the middle of the night, he's Googling about the One Wish Willow. He reads all the comments, all the mixed comments, and he laughs to himself. That's probably nothing. It probably didn't work. It's probably Nikki drunk and suddenly realizing that he's actually in love with me. He goes back to his bedroom and Nikki is sitting straight up on his bed. She has been waiting for him to come back into bed. She wants him to lay with her, not on the floor, on the bed. And he does because, he's in love. And the next morning, Nikki is not in bed when he gets up. So he looks for her. He leaves the room and he smells something very pungent. He follows the smell and it leads him to the kitchen. Nikki had taken out his dead cat, Sally, and all you can hear when you see his cat is flies around the cat. And it looks like she tied up his cat and she laid a candle next to the cat. In front of it, a card. Nikki's like, you're supposed to like it. It's a memorial. In the kitchen, on the floor. And Bear's like, this is not a memorial. This is not touching at all. But of course, he does not say it in the tone that I'm telling you now. He's repulsed, trust me, for sure. However, he also doesn't really want to express it like that. This is the girl that he loves. And they just spent the first night together. Maybe she's just a little bit cuckoo and they can work it out, right? They had to work together. And Ian's like, oh, bro, did y'all do it? And Bear pulls Ian into the storeroom and he tells Ian like Nikki is acting so weird. She's acting so strange. And Nikki is just behind them. She's listening to everything. In the distance, staring at Ian and Bear, whispering to each other. Ian is barely whispering, to be honest. He's like, you a-hole, what happened? Tell me everything. And Bear is like, no, I think she's having a mental breakdown. Like, she snapped back between being happy and being sad. She said that her dad is having cancer, but both of them come to a conclusion, okay, that Nikki looks like she's going through something, and this situation is indeed very weird. Ian suspects maybe Nikki's on some sort of drugs or something like that. Maybe she was acting so strange because of it. Add that with alcohol. Bear looks almost happy to hear that. That evening, Bear goes home alone and he calls Ian. And Ian's like, yeah, don't worry about Nikki. You know, I talked to her on the way back. She's fine. You know, she took something the night before. That's probably why she was acting so weird. And then Bear gets a knock on his door. Nikki is at his door, all dressed up. She's going to Bear's house in this red, beautiful dress off shoulder. You don't dress up to go to your friends if you are not going to dinner together, if it's not a fancy dinner together. Nikki is just all dressed up to see Bear. Nikki confesses to Bear, saying that she took something the night before. She was so drunk because, you know, of her dad. She was so sad, but she wanted all of it. She wanted to kiss Bear, to spend the night with him and all of that. And then she says, I know you like me, Bear, in her soft voice again. And Bear nervously asks, well, then do you like me? And that night, they make it official. For weeks, they are actually happy together. They're dining together. They're kissing at work. They're obsessed with each other. He kissed her socks and they did like, you know, a couple things together. And Nikki looks genuinely very happy together. Then it fast forward to a few days or a few weeks later. Bear and Nikki are inside a restaurant and Bear is like joking, saying that, you know, I'm a food critic. And he licks the bread and it's not a freaky ding dong lick. It's just supposed to make her laugh. She laughs. Nikki looks so happy. Nikki's like, you know, I don't actually know that much about you. They have been friends for so long. And she says that she doesn't know much about him. And Bear tells her, yeah, you know, I'm sort of a closed book. And she's smooth. She's like, well, the best part about a closed book is now I get to read it from the start. Oh, shit. It's giving like Dua Lipa and Callum Turner, but worse. Worst case scenario. Anyway, Bear gets a call. It's Ian. Bear walks away from the table and he picks up the call. And you know that it's not okay because they come from the same friends group and Bear is walking away to talk to a mutual friend. Ian is calling Bear to let him know that Nikki's father is healthy as a horse. And the whole time Ian is talking, Nikki starts peeking. And not even peeking because it's very obvious. Nothing in this world has her attention but Bear. She keeps staring at Bear on the phone. She stands up and she keeps staring. She walks closer to look at Bear and then she goes back to the table. She sits down just before Bear hangs up. Bear comes back around to the table and she hands him this box. It's a straight box. It's like this shape. It looks like a necklace box. It's a gift from Nikki to him. When I saw that box, I'm like, oh shit, girl. This girl is about to give you a willow or a One Wish Willow because look at that box. Look at the shape. But when he opens it, it's just a stone. It's a tiger eye stone. This stone was given to Nikki by her mother. And she's giving this family heirloom to Bear for some reason. Y'all were friends before this. I get it. But isn't it too early to pass down an heirloom? Bear asks, why is Nikki giving him this? And Nikki's like, you are important to me. I love you so much. I don't think that I can live without you. Bear's not touched. He is weirded out. He asks, do you love me more than anyone in the world? And Nikki smiles shyly. She looks down. And here comes the infamous scene. Bear confronts her about her father and she starts screaming.
No, 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 no.
What?
No, 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 don't say that! I thought we were having a nice day!
We are.
Why does it matter? I thought we were having a nice
We are.
day!
We are.
What do you think happened after? What do you think happened after? What would you do if you were a bear after this? You call the church, high priestesses. I would like to schedule an exorcism, as soon as possible, if that's okay. Bring a bucket and a mop of holy water and some seatbelts because we need to buckle up, my brothers and sisters. But that bear does not do. He immediately heads back home with Nikki and they do the freaky ding dong and he's into it the whole time. And she looks like she's out of it and she's faking it. But as soon as they're done, she tells him, that was so good, baby. They fall asleep. Or at least he does. She doesn't. She does not. Because the devil does not sleep. And Bear does not have Kris Jenner. Bear wakes up. And once again, Nikki is not in bed, but this time is very different from the last time. This is not even morning yet. The sun is not fully up, so the devils are still roaming around. It's early in the morning. It's dark out. Some might argue it's a witching hour. Bear looks around the room and is giving conjuring. You know the closet scene when the ghost is fully visible, but invisible until you look at it closely. Nikki is wearing Bear's dark jacket with her undies. She's just standing at the corner in the dark, staring at Bear, sleep. And she tells him, go back to sleep. Bear calls for her. He's scared. And Nikki starts walking towards him. And she does a mini hop for the first step and then is followed by slow steps. And the craziest thing is her hands are like this as she's walking. Okay. And each step that she takes, she lowers herself a little bit. It's like she's creeping up to him, but they're staring at each other. And then she just stands right there in front of his bed. And Bear's like, what are you doing? And Nikki says, go back to sleep. I like to watch you sleep. Then she quickly retreats back to the dark corner. Bear calls for her again. And this time she starts crying. And oh my God, the way that she cries is so scary. She doesn't cry like a baby or an adult. She doesn't cry like an old person. She's crying and wailing off the jump. Okay, it's not like her cry changes her voice. It just gets lower.
I feel like you don't love me as much as I do. Like it's not mutual.
Bear is not going back to sleep like this, and she likes to watch him sleep. And since he's not going back to sleep, maybe he doesn't like Nikki as much as she likes him. That's why she's crying. And then she stops and she says softly and sweetly, go back to sleep. And Bear does that exactly. But then Nikki suddenly screams, why don't you love me? And then she runs out of the bedroom. She grabs a vase full of flowers. She holds it to her face to cover her face from Bear. But at the same time, also showing the flowers to Bear. And she's walking around the bedroom, still facing Bear the entire time. And Bear is horrified. He's about to pee his pants, okay? Then Nikki puts it down and he says, for Sandy, okay? And she gets into bed and she sleeps. Bear is freaked the fork out. So he tries to leave the bed after a few minutes and Nikki freaking screams again. Stay! Stay, if you did not hear that. Her scream is so deep, so angry, it doesn't come from the vocal. It comes from the diaphragm. It comes from the stomach. I don't even know how this man is functioning because later in the morning, he gets ready for work. And he asks Nikki, why did she cut his hair when he was sleeping? And she looks sad, but she hands him his lunch. She thought that it was okay to cut his hair when he was sleeping. Bear brings up the night before and Nikki apologizes profusely. She's even shocked at herself that she did that. But she says that it was just, a bad dream and she smiles really hard. What about this? Since you thought that was so scary, maybe I could just smile really hard, then this would be perfect. And she just stares at him. Because that probably does not terrify Bear, but it does. And she can probably see that. So she kisses him to shut him up. And this man tells her, I love you. He's happy. She's happy. They are happy. They laugh. And Bear turns towards the door. His main door is taped shut with duct tapes. His eyes are bulging. It's Nikki's day off today, so Bear is the only one that's going to work. And Nikki's like, the door's taped shut. Maybe you could just stay home with me. And Bear's like, no, it's fine. I got it. He pulls it a few times and he gets it to open. And Nikki just greets him goodbye with a huge smile. And she just stands there. And Nikki stands there. She pees herself. She eats a fly. She just stands there until Bear comes home. Because remember, she loves him in this world and nothing else. Nothing deserves her attention but Bear. But Bear doesn't know that yet. He's at work. He sees the lunch that Nikki packed for him. She made him a sandwich. There are 2 Polaroids on the lunchbox or something like that. One is of him, but it's like a CCTV photo. It says you. And the other Polaroid is of Nikki smiling a really, really big smile and Bear sleeping beside her. But it says not me. Bear doesn't think too much about it. He just puts them aside and then he grabs the sandwich container. He sees sticky note, my little food critic, and he takes a bite of the sandwich while their friend Sarah is telling him like, it's so weird how you and Nikki just start dating just like that. And Bear's like, it's actually not weird at all. We've been friends for so long, right? Sarah probably fancies him, based off the hug before this. And according to her, she tells Bear that Nikki never showed interest towards Bear prior to this. Like, she treats Bear like her brother. Only Sarah fancies Bear. Well, Sarah didn't tell him that, she likes him, but it's just that Nikki never saw you as a boyfriend. She just saw you as a brother. Sarah then grabs the sticky notes and she reads, my little food critic, and she flips it around. What's the verdict? Cat. And Bear shows up immediately because the meat of that sandwich is shandy. I believe the element of cat being dead and being cooked disturbed a lot of people in this film, okay? Bear bumps into Ian that evening and Ian's like, I think you are taking advantage of Nikki. Nikki's obviously going through something. She's not okay. And Bear tells Ian that she is completely fine. She's not acting weird or strange at all. Ian knows that is not true because Nikki literally cannot separate herself from Bear physically and mentally. They do not have a good relationship or a healthy relationship. So to put that to rest, to show him, Ian, that Bear and Nikki do have a very good healthy relationship, Bear has to go to Ian's home tonight for a party alone. Nikki cannot come because if she's okay with you, if y'all have a very healthy relationship, that should be okay. And Bear's like, deal. He drives home and just before he leaves the car, the One Wish Willow thing plays its music. And Bear takes out the packaging and he calls the helpline. A guy picks up. The guy sounds like, it doesn't sound like an official helpline. It doesn't sound like, hello, I'm Liv. How could I help you? It's just like, yeah, hey, what's up? But it is the helpline, official helpline. Bear's calling because he knows that the One Wish Willow worked. He knows. And he wants to alter his wish because Bear knows that Nikki's love for him is not the love that he wants. And the guy on the helpline is like, well, you asked for her love and you got it. Bear does not want this. He does not want Nikki to love him like this. So Bear asks, is it possible for me to cancel my wish request? And he's like, that's ridiculous. But the only way for the wish to stop working is if you die. And the guy on the phone asks, would you like to speak with her, Nikki? And Nikki is just screaming on the phone. How the hell did the helpline guy know? Bear hangs up immediately. He goes home, he turns on the light, and Nikki is sweaty. She ate a bug and she had a stomach bug and she shat on the floor. She shat and pee on the floor. Bear freaks out again and Nikki apologizes profusely again. She heads to the shower. Bear's just standing right outside the toilet. And because he can't face her, maybe this would be easier, to confront Nikki. And he's telling Nikki like, you would with your pet. I am very upset with you that you cooked a cat and that is not okay. You don't do that, Nikki. But obviously he's very nervous, okay? Even more when she suddenly turns off the shower. When he tells her that he's going to Ian's home alone tonight for a party. It's boys' night. But Nikki starts freaking out again. She starts screaming in the toilet and she's saying Sarah invited her. So yeah. Bear does not fight it. Nikki just ends up following Bear to Ian's, and Ian's like, I knew it. I knew you would bring her. Sarah's there, and some of her other friends are there as well. They are all playing some sort of Django, but each block has a instruction like there. And one of their friends got one to switch seat, and they're like, I want to sit next to Nikki, so Bear, switch with me. So obviously Nikki is quite the hot person in the party, I'm assuming. But the thing is, Nikki can't separate herself from Bear again. Even from across the table, she keeps looking at him like a puppy. Then someone jokes, Jesus, what spell did you put on her, Bear? Everyone laughs. Nikki laughs as well. But Nikki laughs with flat eyes, huge mouth, and she laughs a little bit too loud and for a little bit too long. Ian just looks at Bear like, what the f? You said that she was okay, but obviously she is not okay. Then it's Nikki's turn. She picks up a block and she reads a poem of hers. But oh my God, you have to watch the movie, okay? Inde did such a great job. It's so horrifying. Nikki reads everyone a poem, and it's about Hansel and Gretel doing the nasty. Hansel and Gretel are siblings. Do you get it? And remember before this, Nikki told Sarah that she saw Bear as her brother only. And now she's using Hansel and Gretel as their symbols. Sarah and Ian are both like, what the fuck? That is so weird. The whole time, Nikki's just reading the poem. She's staring. She's smiling lovingly at Bear. Then Bear gets his turn. And the dare is to kiss the person right next to him. Sarah is right next to Bear, and Sarah stares at him. But then Nikki stands up and she does the infamous frown. Then she walks behind Sarah and she stands there for a moment too long. Then she drags her chair out. Then she waits for Bear to kiss her, because now she's right next to Bear. After he kisses her, she caresses Bear's cheek and she tells him, no one on this earth will ever comprehend what it feels like to love someone as much as I love you. Everyone is freaking uncomfortable. This is not the Nikki that we know. This is not honeymoon. The moon is gone. We need to look for the moon. Something is wrong here. Something has taken over, because Nikki turns to the rest of the room and she yells, and everyone in this room will die, never feeling the strength of connection that I've felt with my Bear. And then Nikki laughs. I'm just kidding. But she takes it back. I'm not kidding. And then she tickles Bear's French, which she cut when he was sleeping, remember? And Nikki suddenly snaps somewhere else mentally, because she jumps back and she screams, it's not me, please. And she smashes a bottle and stabs her face with it. And Bear just sits there, no expression whatsoever. He drives her back home. Turns out Bear did try to get her to the hospital, for the stitches, for her wounds, but Nikki didn't want to get out of the car. I found out from the script that's why he was at the emergency for a long time, but Nikki didn't actually get off the car. The nurse is like, I can't help her if she doesn't want help. So they just went home instead. At home, Bear can even go to the bathroom alone. Nikki wants to wait outside the bathroom. They are in the same house and she still wants to do that. That she did what she did because she knew that Sarah liked him. That's why he cannot kiss her. Bear freaks out and asks, Does Nikki like me? And Nikki replies with a soft voice, yes, I'm your freaky Nikki. And Bear tells Nikki to go home because he wants some space. And she starts once again wailing and crying, and he screams for her to stop. Just be normal. Just be Nikki. She wants her to be Nikki. And she keeps crying, and she kneels down and she begs him that she could be anything that he wants. And that's when Bear knows that this is not the real Nikki. Nikki would not do this. The love that he asked for is here, but it's not real. And then Nikki stands up suddenly and she reverse walks out of the living room, and she just stands there in a corner in the shadow, and she recites a poem for him. And it's a poem about letting go and dying. This is the poem. Well, if I have the bed all to myself tonight, I'll lay there warm until slowly I feel cold, like I walked into a freezer. My hands will feel like they're full of sand, like when you lay on them wrong. And that feeling will slowly spread across my entire body. You were still in my heart, but you were slipping. Any thought of pain or regret will slip away like a chemical switch. Even though it's quiet in the room, somehow it gets even quieter. It's not painful. You just let go of everything you want to work. And then there is nothing. It's not darkness. No, sweetie. Darkness is a color. There's just nothing. Nothing. And then they head to sleep together. At midnight, Bear's phone rings. It's Sarah. Sarah has something to tell him and she wants to see him right now. If he doesn't come to the park right now to meet her, she will go over to his house. That's what she said, which he obviously does not want. Nikki is sleeping right next to him and her face is still bloody, okay? I don't think that her wounds are even covered. It's not bandaged. It's just there and open. Bear slowly gets out of bed and just as he's silently leaving his own bedroom, he hears Nikki calling for him. And this Nikki sounds so sad. This Nikki is telling Bear that she wants to die. She wants to let go and she wants Bear to help her do it because she's losing control of her own body and mind. This is the Nikki that he loves. And to that, he asks, what's so bad about choosing him and being with him? And the real Nikki is like, because it was never there. And Bear just walks away. A lot of people are like, this tells you everything that you need to know about Bear. Bear is so selfish. What do you think though? You tell me. I think he's selfish. Let's go back to Bear. Bear leaves the house and he goes to meet Sarah. Sarah tells him two things. Number one, she got accepted to a creative arts school and she's so excited. He's so excited for her. And number two, Ian and Nikki used to sleep around. Combine that with how Nikki told Sarah before this that she only saw Bear as her brother. Sarah's worried. She thinks that Nikki is taking advantage of Bear. And then for a moment, they just keep quiet. And then Nikki runs from the other side of the car with a brick in hand. She breaks the window open and she holds the brick to the steering wheel. She grabs Sarah's head with one hand and smashes Sarah's face into the brick until the sound of crushing bone turns into blood seeping out of flesh. Sarah's face is completely destroyed. Her eyeball is dangling. And obviously the whole time Bear's shocked, like he's panicking. What just happened? You just did this to our friend. Nikki sees that. She quickly runs to Bear and she calms him down. She tells him that I did it because of you. I did it for you. So now you have to help me to hide the body. You made me do it. In a soft, sweet voice, of course. And Bear does it, okay? When Nikki is handling Sarah's body, we don't know how she's handling at that moment. We're gonna find out later. Bear runs back to the crystal shop, the green man, and he complains about the One Wish Willow. The store guy is like, maybe you could just buy one more and make another wish. And that wish has to contradict this current wish. Maybe that would work. So he buys it immediately, right? He goes to his car and he makes a wish. He says, I wish Nikki loved me as a friend. But when he tries to break it, it doesn't break. No matter how hard he tries, it doesn't break. So he drives straight to Ian's home and he asks Ian to make a wish for him. But Ian doesn't believe in this. He's like, how the fork is this even real? They're screaming at each other. Bear is desperate and Ian is in disbelief. Ian is screaming like, is this some sort of program that you got into? What the Bear is also yelling like, this is real. No, this is real. This is magic. Ian grabs a One Wish Willow and he screams, how the hell is this even real? It really doesn't even make sense. Magic does not exist. And Bear's getting more and more frantic because Sarah's gone. And every single minute that they spend going back and forth like this, none of them knows what Nikki's going to do next to show her love towards Bear. And Bear's like, I made a wish. I wish that Nikki loved me and look at her now. Look at how different she is now. And he tells Ian that he cannot make another wish because everyone only gets one wish. And Bear wants Ian to make a wish. The wish being that Bear never made a wish. And when it comes through, Nikki will be released from the spell or whatsoever. And Ian can go and be with her. Ian laughs and he's like, so this is what it's all about, huh? But if you think about it, right, it does prove that while he was encouraging Bear to make a move on Nikki, he was already sleeping with her, and maybe he didn't want her to be with him also because he wanted a shot with Nikki as well. But honestly, that's the least of everyone's worries. Nobody cares. Bear does not care. Like, you can take her. Until Ian pulls the willow out of the box suddenly and the music starts playing and Bear's like, whoa, stop. Listen to me. You only have one wish. You need to wish that I never make the wish. Ian rolls his eyes. Then he looks at Bear and he says to Bear's face, I wish for $1 billion. And he breaks the willow in two and Bear screams as money starts raining from the ceiling. Ian is in disbelief. This actually works. And Bear looks like, not in disbelief, he looks vengeful. He looks so mad. Now that Ian is no longer in part of the option already, Sarah's gone, so Bear thought the best course of action is to go home and ask Nikki to make a wish for him. Because since she loves him so much, she would do this for him, right? But which Nikki though? Soft-voiced Nikki or the Nikki that he had a crush on? Guess. Bear heads home, and as soon as he gets through the door, he sees white candles everywhere, flowers, and I don't know, just like white. It doesn't even look like a memorial, and I'm guessing it's for Sarah. He screams for Nikki and asks, Nikki, you would do anything for me, right? As he grabs another One Wish Willow from the packaging, Nikki doesn't reply, but she's freaking breakdancing at the back. Okay, she walks like a zombie, or rather like very rheumatic and animalistic, which is, if you think about it, the Green Man, someone made a connection on Reddit. The Green Man, aka the name of the shop that sells the One Wish Willow, the crystal shop, the Green Man is closely associated with the god of the woods, Pan. The Greek god Pan has goat legs. So when he walks, like, you know, a goat would walk and it's not like human, so it's sort of animalistic. The Greek god Pan is also known to find pleasure in tricking people who are scared of the forest or of the woods, but he is also known to help people who are not scared of his domain, especially when lost. Anyway, I thought that it was pretty interesting to see the connection between God of the Woods, the Green Man, and what's happening. Let's go back to Bear and Nikki. Okay, Bear does not see Nikki yet, but she walked past behind him. Bear looks up from the willow, and when it's still playing the music, and that's when he sees Sarah. Nikki did nothing. Sarah just sitting there naked. She's wearing nothing but her jacket. She's sitting on one of the armchairs, arm resting on the armrest and legs spread wide. Blood just dripping from her crushed face down onto her chest and onto the chair. Bear is absolutely horrified and he starts turning around because Nikki is sobbing in Sarah's dress. And she drew some tattoos, like some marker. She draws some here because Sarah does have tattoos. And she screams at Bear, "Why can't you love me?" And Bear's like, stop. Nikki screams it again from her, I don't know, from deep down from her bones because it sounds so harsh. And then she slaps her face with the same brick that she used on Sarah. And she starts walking towards Bear sideways because her brain is probably restarting from the damage from that brain slam activity earlier. Blood is dripping down from her forehead and her mouth is all bloody. And she keeps crying and suddenly she stops because she hears someone banging on the door. Nikki gets frustrated. She stares on the floor and she screams, "Stop!" Then her attention is right back at Bear. She keeps crying and wailing and Ian breaks into the door and he screams for Nikki to stop. She doesn't because she's this close to Bear's face. She's still crying, wailing, and she yells, "I will myself, Bear. I will kill myself right in front of you." And Ian's like, Nikki. Nikki turns around this time, but she shoots Ian right in the head. Ian is dead. She turns back to Bear and she tells him, "I will rip my eyes out of my skull and stick the barrel in my Bear." I mean, that's quite there are many ways for one to confess their love, and this is a very, very illegal, unnerving, and abstract way of doing it. But when a human confesses their love, I think you can probably tell, right? They don't projectile vomit after their sentence. Nikki projectile vomit at Bear and he gags. Nikki screams at him to scream back at her that he loves her very much, and he does that exactly. And the soft voice Nikki comes back saying, I knew you did. I knew you did, baby. And he's like, yes, I love you so much. And he hugs her. And she says softly, you owe me that. And Bear's like, it's okay, baby. I'll make this work. I will, baby. You are the most beautiful girl in this entire world. And Nikki's in heaven. She snuggled up to him with blood, vomit, sweat all over. She's like, so we'll be together forever and ever and ever. And Bear doesn't reply. And Nikki stops smiling and looks up at him and asks, why did you just shake your head? And he says, he didn't. He kisses her and he says, I'm gonna go freshen up, okay? I'm just gonna run into the bathroom. And he runs to the bathroom and he locks himself inside. Nikki pounds on the door like her arms belongs to the rock or like a machine, because the speed, the force. Okay, that sounds wrong. I meant like it was insane. It was rapid. It was strong. Yeah. I don't think I could make this sentence work. Anyway, let's not. You get what I'm saying, right? It's like boom, 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 right? Let's go back to Bear. Bear's like, I just need a minute. Stop. And she stops. The soft voice comes back and says, okay. A few seconds later, Nikki comes back and she suggests to break up with him, which could be fake, could be real. We don't know. But Bear needs a way out of this for sure. But what is he gonna do? He can't take any more of this. He's hyperventilating alone in the bathroom, but he grabs the and he puts it to his mouth. He angles it so, he doesn't survive. And then, he keeps staring at himself at the mirror. He can't do it. Instead, he opened the cabinet and downed a bottle of pills. That bottle of pills belongs to a person called Barbara. So this is his grandmother's house. I'm guessing he used to live here either with his grandmother or he moved here after she died. But he didn't get rid of anything that belongs to his grandmother, including this bottle of pill that killed probably Sandy. Bear grabs the pill, he sits down and he swallows the entire bottle of pills. Then a few minutes later, he drags a finger into his throat and he tries to vomit everything back out because maybe he doesn't want to die. But nothing comes out. Maybe one pill comes out. He has already consumed most of it. He relaxes a little bit. Maybe this is for the better. He smiles. He unlocks the bathroom door and he goes to Nikki and they look at each other like they're about to take their wedding vows. They're smiling, head tilting in shyness. He cups her face. He kisses her. She's so happy. But then he falls to the floor and Nikki starts crying, wailing again while hugging Bear in her lap. And she grabs the pew-pew and just as she's about to pull the trigger, the real Nikki wakes up. And she's shocked. She's frantic. She pushes Bear onto the floor and she keeps crying. And this cry is very different from the wailing and crying earlier. She's just, you could tell, she is shocked at everything because in front of her is Bear, Ian, and Sarah. All her closest friend dead. She has what she wanted. She got herself back in the expense of all her friends gone because that is what Bear wanted. Bear wanted her. And that is what has to happen. If you've enjoyed the story time, be sure to subscribe for more thriller, mystery, and romance, and just, any good stories. I upload once a week or, once every 10 days because I don't want to give you anything that is half-assed or something like that. I want to try to do my best, After watching this film, I was like genuinely finding myself overlooking my sides, corners in a room after watching this movie, which is crazy because this is not even ghost movies. It's not like Conjuring. It's so good and scary in a different way, which is very refreshing. If you have enjoyed this, I think that you might also enjoy Weapons, which was released in 2025. That's also, witchy, witchcraft, and things like that. I would consider this cursed object and witchcraft as well. I would also highly recommend watching this movie yourself. It's very different hearing someone tell you about it and then watching yourself, and that is what makes this movie so good. That is what makes this movie viral. It's truly a masterpiece, and I cannot wait to, watch more from Mr. Curry Barker. Okay, it's very simple. This movie. Some people are like, I knew where the story was going from the start, and I was like, how? I did not know where it was going. How do you know? But I love it. Okay, it got my attention within the first 10 minutes. And let me know what you think. Do you think that bear is selfish? You tell me.